The Aerospray stainer family consists of 4 unique stainers, each one of which acts as a dual-purpose instrument, a stainer and a cytocentrifuge. The 4 stainer models are as follows. Hematology Pro produces stained slide results similar to traditional Wright Giemsa and May Grunwald Giemsa stains. Hematology Stat uses water-based reagents to produce hematology stained slides. TB can be set up either to use fluorescent or carbofuchsia stains for staining TB and other acid-fast organisms. Gram produces traditional gram stain microbiology slides. With the addition of the stainers become a cytocentrifuge, which can be used to concentrate samples on slides. Along with the stainer itself, there are a few accessories and supplies that are provided. The drain tube item, number AC041, is used to drain the liquid waste from the stainer into a container or drain. 2 slide carousels are provided with each stainer. The 5-liter space saver container, item number AC072, is sent and should be used for reagent lines that use a lot of reagent. More information about this container will come later in this video. The nozzle maintenance kit, item number AC077, contains a number of items used to maintain the spray nozzles in the stainer. Empty 500 milliliter bottles are sent with some models. These bottles are used for reagents, such as water and alcohol. Each model of stainer has its own family of reagents. Most reagents are available in ready-to-use or concentrate form. More detailed information about each family of reagents will come later in the video. The document pack contains manuals, MSDS sheets, and other useful information about the stainer. The optional accessories are also available. As previously mentioned, the Cyto Pro rotor is an accessory that turns your stainer into a cytocentrifuge. The waste container is a 10-liter container with an adapter on the lid to fit the drain tube. This is optional because some labs choose other waste containers or choose other ways to dispose of waste. Proper staining starts with proper stainer installation. Stainer installation is basically the same for each stainer model. Therefore, installation instructions are covered in general with a hematology stat stainer. Differences specific to each stainer will be discussed later in this video. Step 1. Connecting the drain tube. The drain tube uses a quick connect fitting in the back of the stainer. To release the drain tube, press the button at the top. Step 2. Collecting waste. AC170 is an optional accessory used to collect waste. Some users may elect to collect waste in other containers already in the lab, or dispose of the waste down a drain. The lab will need to determine how to handle the waste consistent with their local, state, or federal regulations. Information about the chemical composition of the waste is available from Elite Tech upon request. No matter how the waste is collected, users should cut the drain tube to a proper length so that the tube does not have any large curves or coils. Placing the stainer on an edge of a counter is the best location so that the drain collection can be set on the floor close to the stainer. Step 3. It is now time to connect the power. Locate the power module on the back of the stainer. Connect the power cord to the stainer and then to the power outlet. It is recommended to use a power strip or surge protector to protect the stainer against power spikes. The power switch is located on the back above the power module on the stainer. When the power is turned on, the stainer boots up, the screen shows model and software information, then automatically proceeds to the main staining screen. Step 4. Installing reagents. The reagents are placed on the right side of the stainer. When new, the stainer has a protective cover over the dip tubes. Take off the cover. Depending on the model, there are either 4 or 5 dip tubes. The dip tubes contain a curl which is used to maintain the accuracy of the level monitoring system. When loading the reagents on the stainer, it is important to make sure that these curls are maintained. When loading reagents, it's important to make sure you have all reagent bottles ready. The specific reagents to load on each line for each model are described later in the video specific to each model. However, for quick reference, the reagent family to be used for each model is as follows. The Hematology Pro Stainer uses SS071, SS072, SS171, and SS172 reagents. The Hematology Stat Stainer uses SS035, SS049, SS135, and SS149 reagents. The TB stainer uses SS061 and SS161 reagents. The gram stainer uses SS041 and SS141 reagents. The reference number for each reagent contains the family number and then a letter which indicates the reagent line that it goes on. For example, SS071B is used on the hematology stat stainer on the B line. Also, please keep in mind, all the ready-to-use reagents are CE-IVD marked, and most concentrate reagents are not. So most European countries have to use only ready-to-use reagents. Again, make sure all reagents are ready for each reagent line. Install the bottles on each line by removing the seal from the bottle and placing the dip tube in the bottle. Screw on the lid and make sure the curl stays in a tight curl after the lid is tightened. After the dip tubes have been placed in each respective reagent bottle, it is now a good time to zero the level monitoring sensors. Zeroing the sensor should only have to be done once, unless the stainer is moved to a different spot. It is much like zeroing a sensitive scale. It is best if the stainer is zeroed after it has been on the counter for at least 30 minutes. The sensors are located in the bottom of the reagent tray. The stainer automatically zeroes the sensors. To do this, turn the power off, wait a few seconds, and turn it on again. This will reboot the stainer. While it is rebooting, press the Program button. A screen will appear that states 1 level sense, 2 beep settings. Press the number 1. Options for 1 are Enable Disable, 2 0, and 3 Calibrate appear. Press 2 to 0. Instructions to remove the dip tubes from touching the sensors appear on the screen. Press Run to begin the zeroing process. This takes approximately 10 seconds. When completed, press Stop twice to return to the main screen. With the reagent bottles not in the tray, the bottom line of the screen should alternate between reagent A, B, C, D, low, and full carousel. This line will alternate like this if one or more of the reagents is low. It is now time to place the bottles in the reagent tray. The stainer is now ready to spray reagents after the pumps are primed. Step 5. The reagents are sprayed out of nozzles onto microscope slides while the carousel spins. It is now time to prime the reagents through the internal plumbing of pumps and valves of the stainer. Place an empty carousel inside of the stainer. On the right side of the stainer above the dip tubes, there are prime buttons for each line. Press one prime button at a time and make sure some stain is sprayed out of each respective nozzle. If stain does not come out of each nozzle, the priming tool provided in the nozzle maintenance kit should be used. This is used by removing the nozzle, screwing in the adapter, pulling the syringe plunger back to create a vacuum, and pressing a prime button. This tool is also used when a stain bottle is completely emptied and the pump seizes. Even though you may begin to see the reagents begin to be sprayed from each nozzle, more priming is required. Stainers are shipped with alcohol in each line to keep the pumps lubricated and keep them from freezing. It is a requirement to pump at least 200 milliliters of stain through each line to remove all the alcohol in the pumps. This is done by first removing each nozzle. The nozzles are removed by using the nozzle wrench found in the nozzle maintenance kit. Turn the nozzles to the left to loosen and remove. Place the nozzles in order, either on the counter or on the stainer near the bowl. Press the Maintenance button and Option 4 for prime lines. This will start a sequence when reagent in each line is pumped. When reagent in each line is pumped, 200 to 250 milliliters of each reagent will be sprayed through the respective lines. The level of reagent will go down quite rapidly during the process. At the end of the priming process, reinstall the nozzles. Press each prime button to fill the back of the nozzle with stain. The stainer is now ready to stain. The next step is to load the carousel with slides. Step 6, loading the carousel, is quite simple. The carousel is numbered to help load the slides in the proper position in the carousel. Loading the slides in the proper position is key. Start with the number 1 position on the right side. Load the slide with the specimen facing forward. Rotate the carousel 180 degrees and load the next slide in the number 2 position. And rotate again to load number 3 and so on. The numbered slide position in the carousel is important so that the carousel is balanced. The stainer can be programmed to conserve stains depending on the number of slides selected to be stained. The stain sprayed from each nozzle turns on and off for each selection of slides if 6 or fewer slides are selected to be stained. If all the positions are not filled with specimen slides, it is recommended to use blocking slides. Blocking slides are used so that each slide receives the same amount of stain. Without them, the first slide in the sequence of slides may stain slightly different than the slides behind it. Step 7. After the carousel has been loaded, it is time to program and use the stainer. A few of the general programming information that is the same for all stainers will be covered in this section. Specific programming details for each stainer will be covered during the separate videos for each model. Before we start the programming section, let's review the buttons on the keypad. Stop, used to stop cycles and exit out of screens. Clean, used to run a clean cycle, which is part of preventive maintenance. Run, used to start a stain or cytocentrifuge cycle. Maint or maintenance, used to perform part of stainer installation and preventive maintenance. Prog or program, used to adjust settings of the stainer. Cyto, used to access the cytocentrifuge mode. And the numbers, used to select the number of slides to be stained. The number keypads are also used to make selections in other screens. Now that we have loaded the carousel with 4 specimen slides, simply press the number 4 button and notice the bottom line of screen now indicates 4 slides. Place the carousel in the stainer and press Run. The stainer will start staining by spraying the slides with reagents. During the stain cycle, the screen indicates the current operation of the stainer and the approximate percentage complete. The user can now walk away and come back in 5 to 10 minutes depending on the model and the selected settings to remove the stained slides. The slides are ready for the microscope immediately after removing them from the carousel. The carousel can then be reloaded with new specimens and another stain cycle can be started. Now that the stainer has been properly set up and slides have been stained, it is time to cover some of the key preventive maintenance steps that are the same for each model. Preventive maintenance is necessary in order to ensure long-term satisfaction of the stainer. Preventive maintenance consists of daily, weekly, and monthly maintenance. PM charts are provided for each model to help each user keep track of the maintenance performed. These charts are necessary to meet some accreditation standards depending on the laboratory. The daily preventive maintenance is quick and easy. Run a clean cycle at the end of each 8-hour working shift, or if the stainer is going to sit idle without use for 4 hours. To perform a clean cycle, press the Clean button. The stainer sprays alcohol through each line. At the end of the clean cycle, Clean to reprime will be displayed on the screen. Leave the stainer in this mode until slides are ready to be stained again, which may be in a few hours or the next day. Spray the face of the nozzles, bowl, and stainer case with alcohol. Wipe clean with a paper towel. The clean cycle for the Hematology Pro stainer is slightly different. This will be covered in the Spate Hematology Pro video. When slides are ready to be stained again, press Clean to reprime agents into the valves and lines. Weekly preventive maintenance focuses on nozzle and drain performance. It should take 5 to 10 minutes. Good nozzle spray patterns and volumes are essential to proper staining. Users should check the nozzle performance by first checking the spray patterns and second checking the spray volumes. Checking the spray patterns is done by pressing Maint, then Option 1 for pattern test. The display indicates to press any prime button for a pattern test. Hold a paper towel against the hub of the stainer in front of the nozzle to spray. Then press the prime button for the reagent nozzle being tested. A small amount of spray will come from the nozzle and onto the paper towel. The spray should be a uniform circle. If it is not, then the nozzle may be dirty and may need to be cleaned. Check the spray pattern for each nozzle. Checking the spray volumes is done by exiting out of the pattern test screen, again pressing Maint and then Option 2 for volume test. The display indicates to press any prime button for a volume test. Hold one of the 15mm centrifuge tubes supplied in the nozzle maintenance kit against the nozzle being tested. The reagent will spray from the nozzle for 20 seconds. Collect the spray for the entire 20 seconds. Place the tube in the rack provided, and then compare the volume from each nozzle to the PM chart and also to the value from the previous week. If either the spray pattern or volume collected is not as it should be, then the nozzle needs to be cleaned. An easy way to quickly clean the nozzle is by using the cleaning brush provided in the nozzle maintenance kit. Use this brush by forcing the bristles into the orifice of the nozzle. This cleans the nozzle quite well, and by doing this will divert the need to disassemble and clean the nozzle. The performance of the drain is checked by pouring 200 to 300 milliliters of water down the drain. This is used to flush any dust or paper towel fragments that may be stuck in the drain. The drain should drain the water within a few seconds. If it does not, then the drain may be backing up and should be cleaned or checked. As part of monthly preventive maintenance, the nozzle should be disassembled and cleaned. Remove the nozzles by using the nozzle wrench provided in the nozzle maintenance kit. Turn the nozzles to the left to remove. Once removed, disassemble them by using hex wrenches provided in the nozzle maintenance kit. The nozzle has 3 parts: the main nozzle housing, swirl cone, and compression screw. Make sure to not lose these parts. Put all parts of the nozzle in one of the 50 milliliter centrifuge tubes provided. Add 25 to 30 milliliters of the nozzle cleaning solution. Let the nozzles soak for 5 to 10 minutes at a minimum. If possible, let them soak overnight. Be sure to label each tube so that the nozzles are returned to their original location. After soaking, dump nozzle cleaning solution down the drain of the stain. Place the parts of the nozzle on a paper towel. Use the copper wire provided to clean the nozzle housing. Run the wire through the housing and then spin the housing on the wire. Also, clean the grooves of the swirl cone with an edge of paper to remove any debris that might be building up in the grooves. Look in the back of the nozzle to make sure debris is not building up. If so, use a cotton swab to remove debris. When complete, rinse the nozzle in alcohol and then reassemble the nozzle. Be sure the nozzle is vertical during reassembly. After all the nozzles have been cleaned, check the spray patterns and volumes as previously described. This completes the general section of the video. Specific installation, use, and preventative maintenance information will be covered in separate video segments for each model. The Hematology Stat Stainer is the model used for the general instructions. There are no special setup or preventative maintenance required for this stainer other than the instructions specified in the general instructions. This stainer has 4 nozzles, 1 for each reagent. It uses a 12-place carousel, and the slides are loaded with the labels towards the outside of the carousel. All reagents for this stainer come in prepared or concentrate form. The traditional reagents are the SS035 series, and Aerofix SS048 is used in the D position. Anhydrous methanol can be used in the D position, but it has been found that in humid climates, straight methanol can cause refractiles in the red blood cells. Aerofix prevents these refractiles. Most users use the SS035 series of stains. However, because they are water-based, the basophil granules and some cellular inclusion bodies do not stain well. Elite Tech provides Basofix reagents which stain the basophil granules. The Basofix reagents are the SS049 series. Reagents A and C are different when using the Basofix reagents, and the slides are fixed outside of the stainer with an SS049 pre-dip. Most of the reagents for the Hematology Stat Stainer are also available in gallons. The firmware for the Hematology Stat Stainer includes 10 preset intensities. Intensities 1 to 10 stain blood smears and bone marrow samples lighter to darker. Generally, the lower intensities stain the slides lighter and more red than the higher intensities. Intensities 8 to 10 are primarily reserved for bone marrows. The factory default setting is the medium 4 setting. To change the intensity, press the probe button, then select the desired intensity. After the program has been selected and slides loaded into the carousel, simply put the carousel in the stainer, close the lid, select the number of slides to stain, then press run. After 4 to 6 minutes, depending on the intensity, come back to the stainer. Open the lid, remove the carousel, and then remove the slides. The slides are now ready for the microscope. The Hematology Pro Stainer is very versatile and produces staining results similar to Wright Giemsa or May Grunwald Giemsa stain slides. Adjustments to staining can be made to customize staining results to your desire. The Hematology Pro Stainer uses a lot of A reagent. Users will be replacing the A reagent a lot if they use the standard 500 milliliter bottle. The A reagent is usually made from concentrate in a 5-liter container. The stainer is sent with a 5-liter Space Saver container. Fill this bottle with deionized or distilled water and add the 30 milliliter concentrate to the 5-liter container. Mix well. Connect the container by cutting the standard dip tube at its apex and then slipping the connector in the tube as it goes into the stainer. After the 5-liter container is installed, the level detection feature for the A line should be disabled. It is disabled by turning the stainer off, then on again. Press Probe while the stainer is booting up. Press 1 for Level Sense. Press 1 for Enable Disable, then press 0 for Line A. This will deactivate the level detection for the A line. The Hematology Pro Stainer has only 2 nozzles. The A, B, and C reagents spray out of the same front nozzle. The D reagents spray from the back nozzle. When the ABC does not have an O-ring, and it also has a mixing insert. This insert is required so that the A, B, and C stains are mixed properly before they're applied to the microscope slide. The Hematology Pro Stainer uses the 12-slide carousel, and it is important that the slides are loaded so that the feathered edge of the blood smear is pointed towards the outside of the carousel. Airflow across the face of the slide is a requirement for proper staining. The best staining occurs in this area of the slide. There are 4 reagents for the Hematology Pro Stainer. The reagent family is the SS071 and SS072 family. The A reagent is the buffered rinse solution. As previously mentioned, most uses receive these reagents in concentrate form. In the US and Europe, it is possible to get them in prepared form. The SS171A is the A reagent with a 6.8 pH. The SS171A is the A reagent with a 6.8 pH. The SS172A is the A reagent with a 7.2 pH. The 7.2 pH produces slides that are generally more blue in color. Some users like this color, so they may need to try both A reagents during a demonstration. The B and C reagents combine 65% methanol, so they are hazardous to ship unless they are shipped by ground transportation. Concentrates are available for these reagents where ground transportation from the US and Central Europe is not available. The B reagent is the thiacin stain. The C reagent is the eosin stain. Anhydrous methanol, or Aeroflix SS048, are used in the D position. The firmware for the Hematology Pro Stainer is divided into 4 stain modes: Rapid Wright Giemsa, May Grunwald Giemsa, and Custom. The Rapid Wright Giemsa and Wright Giemsa stain modes are used in the US. The May Grunwald Giemsa is mainly used in Europe. The Custom mode is a mode developed by Elite Tech, which is completely customizable. Each mode has 9 intensity settings, which are used to stain the slides from light to dark. Also, some adjustment can be made in each mode. Users should try staining with Wright Giemsa stain modes, intensities 4, 5, and 6. They should also try staining with the May Grunwald stain mode, intensities 4, 5, and 6. Users should also try the Custom stain mode, intensity number 6, when staining bone marrow samples. Use the Probe button to change between stain modes, option 4, and stain intensities, option 1. Also in the Probe menu, users can adjust fixation and the staining. The thiazin blue stain and eosin red stain ratio can be adjusted to make the slide either more blue or more red. Spin time and rinse time can also be adjusted. For more information about the adjustments, please refer to the programming manual provided with each Hematology Pro Stainer. Slides are stained by selecting the desired stain mode, placing the loaded carousel in the stainer, selecting the number of slides to stain, and then pressing Run. After 4 to 9 minutes, depending on settings, the slides are ready for the microscope. The clean cycle on the Hematology Pro Stainer is different than the other Aerospray stainers. This stainer has 2 clean cycles, a system clean and a carousel clean. Both of these clean cycles spray methanol through the lines of the stainer, which keep the nozzles clean. The carousel clean sprays more methanol than the system clean cycle. It is used to keep the carousel cleaner. There are no reprime cycles for both of these clean cycles. At the end of each stain cycle, methanol is sprayed out of the nozzles. This helps keep the nozzles clean. If a prime button is pressed over a stain cycle started but not completed, a warning will appear on the screen when Run is pressed. Users are instructed to run a clean cycle in order to replace the methanol in the nozzles at the beginning of the stain cycle, like it should be. Preventive maintenance for the Hematology Pro Stainer is as previously described, except that a system clean cycle should be ran at the end of each shift, or if the stainer will sit idle for more than 4 hours. A carousel clean cycle should be run each day. Product SS230 is a cleaning product that cleans the nozzles very well. This product should be used when cleaning the nozzles. Be sure not to lose the mixing insert when cleaning the nozzle. The 5-liter bottle used on the A line should be cleaned with a 10% bleach solution each month when it is emptied. Refer to the applications manual for more information regarding preventive maintenance. The Aerospray TB stainer is designed to spray carbofuchsin or fluorescent stains. These stains are used to stain acid-fast bacilli, mainly Mycobacterium tuberculosis. The stainer has 5 reagents and 6 nozzles. The D reagent is deionized or distilled water and is sprayed from 2 of the 6 nozzles. The TB stainer uses either a 12-slide carousel or a 30-slide carousel. The stainer automatically recognizes the size of the carousel, so no programming is needed. The 12-slide carousel should be loaded with the label of the slide towards the outside of the carousel. And the 30-slide carousel should be loaded with the label of the slides towards the inside of the carousel. The reagents for the TB stainer are the SS061 family of stains. For the carbofuchsin stains, Kinyun and Zil-Nelson primary stains are available. Brilliant green and methylene blue counterstains are also available. Elite Tech highly recommends the Kinyun stain and either the blue or green counterstain because Kinyun is the cold staining method. The Zil-Nelson stain requires that the carousel and slides are heated before staining. The stain options for the carbofuchsin stain are as follows. When using the carbofuchsin stains, the stain should be loaded as explained in the general stainer instructions. The fluorescent stains include both auramine O and auramine rhodamine primary stains. Potassium permanganate is used as the counterstain for both primary stains. Elite Tech also offers thiazine red as a counterstain, which currently is mainly used in France. Potassium permanganate produces a black background. Staining with thiazine red produces a red background. The slides do not need to be heated for fluorescent staining. The slide options for the fluorescent stains are as follows. The A and B reagents for both carbofuchsin and fluorescent stains are available in ready-to-use and concentrate form. The C reagents are only available in ready-to-use form. When new, the TB stainer comes with a pink sticker on the B line. This sticker means that if potassium permanganate is used, water should be pumped through the B line before the potassium permanganate is pumped through the line. When new, the stainers are shipped with methanol in the pumps and plumbing lines. Potassium permanganate and methanol cause a precipitate that can damage the pumps. Use water to pump out the methanol before the potassium permanganate is added. When either carbofuchsin stains or fluorescent stains are used, deionized or distilled water is used on the D line. Alcohol, either methanol or ethanol, is used on the E line. A lot of water is used on the stainer, so a 5-liter container is provided with each new stainer. Connect the container by cutting the standard dip tube at its apex and then slipping the connector in the tube as it goes into the stainer. After the 5-liter container is installed, the level detection for the D line should be disabled. It is disabled by turning the stainer off, then on again. Press Program while the stainer is booting up. Press 1 for level sense, press 1 for enable disable, then press 1 for the A through C lines, and press 0 for line D. This will deactivate the level detection for the D line. The TB stainer firmware includes carbofuchsin and fluorescent stain modes. When booting up the stainer, an option to press Probe is displayed. Press Probe to select which mode is being used. Both modes have 6 present intensity settings. Most users use setting 4, 5, or 6 in either stain mode. Change the intensity by pressing the Probe button. Once the programming is selected and slides loaded in the carousel, place the carousel in the stain, close the lid, select the number of slides to stain, and press Run. The stainer starts the stain cycle. The cycle is completed in 5 to 12 minutes depending on settings, and the slides are ready for the microscope. Preventive maintenance for the TB stainer includes special attention to the B and C nozzles. These nozzles can become plugged easily. It is recommended to use the nozzle caps for these nozzles. Put a piece of paper towel soaked in nozzle cleaning solution in the cap, and then fit the cap over the B and C nozzles. Store the stainer with these caps overnight or when it is not used for more than 4 hours. A monthly B-line flush is also recommended for the B-line when potassium permanganate is being used. Instructions for performing the B-line flush are in the applications manual and the preventive maintenance chart. The flush is semi-automated with the firmware. The 5-liter container used on the D line should be cleaned with 10% bleach once per month to prevent bacterial contamination in the water. It is not recommended to switch between carbofuchsin and fluorescent stains regularly. If users want a stainer to stain both carbofuchsin and fluorescent stains, then they will need to have 2 stainers. Instructions for switching between the reagent sets are contained in the applications manual. The Aerospray Gram stainer performs a traditional gram stain. The stainer has 5 reagents and 6 nozzles. The D reagent is deionized or distilled water and is sprayed from 2 of the 6 nozzles. The gram stainer uses either a 12-slide carousel or a 30-slide carousel. The stainer automatically recognizes the size of the carousel, so no programming is needed. The 12-slide carousel should be loaded with the label of the slide towards the outside of the carousel. And the 30-slide carousel should be loaded with the label of the slides towards the inside of the carousel. The reagents for the gram stainer are the SS041 family of stains. The A reagent acts as both the decolorizer and counterstain. There are 4 A reagents available. SS041A contains isopropanol, methanol, and safranine. SS041AA contains isopropanol, acetone, and safranine. SS041AF contains isopropanol, methanol, and fuchsin. SS041AAF-EU contains isopropanol, acetone, and fuchsin. The fuchsin stains are mainly used in Europe. Safranine is used in the US and other areas of the world. Iodine and crystal violet are reagents B and C, respectively. Deionized or distilled water is used on the D line, and anhydrous alcohol, either methanol or ethanol, is used on the E line. A lot of water is used on the stainer, so a 5-liter container is provided with each new stainer. Connect the container by cutting the standard dip tube at its apex, then slipping the connector in the tube as it goes into the stainer. After the 5-liter container is installed, the level detection for the D line should be disabled. It is disabled by turning the stainer off, then on again. Press Probe while the stainer is booting up. Press 1 for level sense, press 1 for enable disable, then press 1 for the A through C lines, and press 0 for line D. This will deactivate the level detection for the D line. The gram stainer firmware includes 9 preset decolorizer settings. Most users use setting 2, 3, or 4 for most samples. Thick samples like thick sputum or fecal samples may require higher decolorizer setting. Users should experiment a little bit with the settings to help them determine which setting works best for them and how they prepare their slides. Users should prepare their samples as thinly and consistently as possible on the microscope slides. The decolorizer settings are changed by pressing Probe and Option 1 for decolorizer setting. Slides can be fixed with alcohol in the stainer, or the fixation can be turned off if the specimen is outside of the stainer. Adjustments for the amount of iodine and crystal violet can be made. The amount sprayed can be set to low, medium, or high. Medium is the default setting. These adjustments are made by pressing Probe and Option 3 for Adjust Stain. Once the programming is selected and the slides loaded in the carousel, place the carousel in the stain, close the lid, select the number of slides to stain, and press Run. The stainer starts the stain cycle. The cycle is completed in 4 to 7 minutes depending on settings, and the slides are ready for the microscope. Special preventive maintenance includes a monthly B-line flush that's also recommended for the B-line. Instructions for performing the B-line flush are in the applications manual and the preventive maintenance chart. The flush is semi-automated with the firmware. The 5-liter container used on the D-line should be cleaned with 10% bleach once per month to prevent bacterial contamination of the water. The Cyto Pro rotor is an accessory to each stainer. It quickly turns the stainer into a cytocentrifuge. Cytocentrifugation is used to concentrate and sediment cells on a microscope slide prior to staining. It is widely used in hematology and microbiology labs. Elite Tech offers 3 types of chambers. The standard volume chambers hold up to 500 microliters of sample. The dual chamber holds up to 300 microliters of sample in each well, 600 microliters total. The Cyto Pro Magnum chamber holds up to 6 milliliters of sample. Users load the Cyto Pro rotor by loading the microscope slides into the slide holders. Pressing the black lever to pull back the locking fingers, place the Cyto Pro chamber into place, then release the lever to lock the chamber into place. Users then pipette the samples into the chamber well. Users must balance the rotor with a similar sized chamber on the opposite side of the rotor. Place and lock the rotor lid on the rotor. Depending on the type of samples, users should load and unload the rotor in a biosafety hood. The cytocentrifuge function of the stainer is activated by pressing Cyto. The speed, time, and acceleration can be set by pressing Probe. Speed is set by typing in the desired numbers. The last digit cannot be set, so the cursor automatically drops down to the time after the speed is set. Set the time and acceleration. Most samples are run with the high acceleration. The last option is for the lid lock delay. This option is set to off for the standard volume chambers, but it should be to on for the Cyto Pro Magnum chamber. At the end of programming, this program is stored as the number 1 program until it is cleared or reprogrammed. The firmware allows for 9 programs to be set and stored. After programming, place the rotor in the stainer and press Run. The rotor will reach the set speed and spin the set time, if the lid lock delay is set to on. At the end of the cycle, users remove the rotor and remove the chambers and slides. The sample fluid is absorbed into the absorption pads in the standard volume chambers during the cytocentrifuge process. The slides should be treated according to standard operating procedures and eventually stained.